Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva. Shingatam Swakata Krishna,
Shingatam Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Vidyantasto Hyabadrani,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Virunoti Suhritsatam,
Virunoti Suhritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtapreshu Vadreshu
Nashtapreshu Vadreshu
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1, Chapter 17, how Parikshit received the punishment and reward of Kali. Punishment and reward of Kali, Chapter 17, verse 13. Akyahi,
Akyahi,
Vrisha,
Vrisha,
Bhadram,
Bhadram,
Va,
Va,
Akyahi, Vrisha, Bhadram, Va,
Akyahi, Vrisha, Bhadram,
Sadhunam,
Sadhunam,
Akritagasam,
Akitagasam,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam,
Sadhunam, Akitagasam,
Atma,
Atma,
Vairubhya,
Vairubhya,
Kartaram,
Kartaram,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Kartanam,
Kartanam,
Kirti,
Kirti,
Dushanam,
Dushanam,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Atma, Vairubhya, Kartaram,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Kartanam, Kirti, Dushanam,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Akyahi, Vrishabhadram, Va,
Sadhunam, Akritagasam, Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Akyati Rishabhadram Va
Agyati Rishabhadram Va
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam Akyahi Rishabhadram Va Akyahi Rishabhadram Va Sadhunam Akrithagasam Sadhunam Akrithagasam Atmavairupya Kartaram Atmavairupya Kartaram Partanam Kirtidushanam Partanam Kirtidushanam Akyahi Rishabhadram Vaha Akyahi Rishabhadram Va Sadhunam Akrithagasam Sadhunam Akrithagasam Atmavairupya Kartaram Atmavairupya Kartaram Partanam Kirtidushanam Partanam Kirtidushanam
Akyahi Vrishabhadram Va
Akyahi Rishabhadram Va
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Parthanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Akyahi Rishabhadram
Akyahi Rishabhadram Va
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Akyahi Vrishabhadram Va
Akyahi Rishabhadram Va
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Akyahi Vrishabhadram Va
Akyahi Rishabhadram Va
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Sadhunam Akrithagasam
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Atmavairupya Kartaram
Partanam Kirtidushanam
Partanam Kirtidushanam
You know what? The sun is reflecting off the floor.
I see that.
You just shut that one door, please. Akyahi.
Akyahi
Just let me know.
Just let me know
That helps. Thank you. Vrisha.
Vrisha
Oh, bull.
Oh
Bhadram.
Bhadram
Good.
Good
Va.
Va
For you.
For you
Sadhunam.
Sadhunam
Of the honest.
Honest
Akrita agasam.
Akrithagasam
Of those who are offenseless.
Of those who are offenseless
Atmavairupya.
Atmavairupya
Deformation of the self.
Deformation of the self
Kartaram.
Kartaram
The doer.
The doer
Partanam.
Partanam
Of the sons of Pritha.
Of the sons of Pritha
Kirtidushanam.
Kirtidushanam
Blackmailing the reputation.
Blackmailing the reputation
Translation of purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shiva Prabhupada.
O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations, which blackmail the reputation of the sons of Pritha. Please repeat. O bull, you are offenseless.
You are offenseless
And thoroughly honest.
and thoroughly honest.
Therefore I wish all good to you.
Therefore I wish all good to you.
Please tell me of the perpetrator
Please tell me of the perpetrator
of these mutilations,
of these mutilations,
which blackmail the reputation
which blackmail the reputation
of the sons of Pritha.
of the sons of Pritha.
Purport. The reputation of the reign of Maharaj Ramachandra and that of the kings who followed in the footsteps of Maharaj Ramachandra, like the Pandavas and their descendants, are never to be forgotten, because in their kingdom, offenseless and honest living beings were never in trouble. The bull and the cow are the symbols of the most offenseless living beings, because even the stool and urine of these animals are utilized to benefit human society. The descendants of the sons of Pritha, like Maharaj Parikshit, were afraid of losing their reputations. But in the modern days, the leaders are not even afraid of killing such offenseless animals. Herein lies the difference between the reign of those pious kings and the modern states ruled by irresponsible executive heads without knowledge of the codes of God. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So I found two themes, or I could say three important words here, but two of them go together in a theme. So one is reputation, and the other is honest and offenseless. So this is these are important things to talk about and ponder. So reputation, the reputation of the reign of Maharaj Ramachandra and all the great kings that followed, the saintly kings, the reputation is very important. Nowadays, we might think in our devotee attempt to renounce false ego and all that, and fame and profit, fame, adoration, we might think that
she's translating.
she's translating. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay. So we might think that it's a false ego thing or a profit, fame, and adoration kind of thing, which is subtle sex, and so we might resist this or not say we shouldn't worry about our reputation. I mean, devotees, trying to apply the philosophy can go through these different mistakes. This reputation is really important. This is this reputation for being good and saintly, to do your duty of being a good and saintly king is really important. If you don't have a good reputation, your whole service is to pieces. So I looked up the word reputation in my cell phone dictionary, and it said the common opinion that people have about someone, summarized slightly. And then there are three detailed definitions: overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general, recognition by other people of some characteristic or ability, like if you have a reputation for being good at something, a place in public esteem or regard, like a good name. So if somebody has a good reputation, they have a place in public regard. A good king has to have this. It's irresponsible for a good king to let his reputation go. How can he actually lead people if they don't like him, if they don't have faith in him? So nowadays we don't even understand, we don't even know what it's like to be under a good king. We have people fighting to keep their Supreme Court nomination going, and they are being torn to pieces publicly for really bad behavior in the past, and they aren't stepping down. Like a lot of people, when questions come up about their character, they immediately resign because they understand, anyway, about the importance of good reputation. They understand that it's going to damage the whole country if they keep trying to fight, even though their reputation is going to pieces. So a lot of the politicians we see simply resign. But there are those that won't give up, and they keep fighting foolishly, and even though they look worse and worse. How can they lead? And modern days politicians, deeper than that, they are not even afraid of killing the cow. If you kill a cow in a Vedic culture, your reputation is gone. If you kill a cow, they're not afraid they kill a cow. They have big steak dinners that are steak dinners, and they eat such thing. They eat the poor cow and the bull and so on, and no problem. They're not worried about that, and as far as they have the things that the public does care about, their behavior, their honesty, if they're going to tell the truth or not, they'll even lose that reputation and keep no consciousness of the importance of reputation. It's a sacred trust. And if you are a proper Vedic leader, or a leader who has takes reputation really seriously, and takes his duty really seriously, then you should protect your reputation. And so the application of that in the movement is that we are, nobody knows it, but we are the leaders of society as the Brahmanas. We're the only Brahmana society has. I guess in India there's some Brahmanical people. Anyway, basically the real Brahmanas are those who know Brahmana, who know Krishna. And we are the Brahmanas for society. They don't know it, but we have to be the leaders. And in struggling to learn how to do this, tremendous mistakes have been made, and the reputation is bad. In the eyes of the public, they know about a lot of the bad things that have happened. So that has to be corrected. We have to understand that the responsibility to keep a good reputation from the bottom up, from the inside out. We have to purify ourselves, and we have to live purely and act purely, and protect from any appearance of impropriety, such that, for example, a sannyasi or any man leader, anyone should not be seen alone with a woman who's not his wife. Should not be talking too much. We know these things because even if nothing's going on, reputation does get hurt, and that's important. So we're struggling to learn these things. So we have to build up our own selves from within. It takes a long time. I read recently online, somebody said that they used to think that spiritual advancement would be like a rocket going up. And he said it turns out it's more like a slow boat to China. It's not going zzz, And in Prabhupada's presence, it went like this. But there's a term for this, which I can't remember, where you are like riding on the coattails of the effect of a pure devotee. So you're elevated by that pure devotee's presence. But it's not your own elevation. So then you find out, when that special effect isn't there, you find out, oh, I'm on a slow boat to China. So it's a long ways, and we have to work on it seriously. And this reputation thing, it's not profit, adoration, and distinction, it's not about that. That's just about subtle sex, about your own gain, of sense gratification in some form. Yeah, this is about responsibility to society. And it was so important. Krishna lectured Arjuna on the chariot when Arjuna was thinking the right thing to do is not fight this war. And Krishna said, where is it? It's 234. Sorry, I'm slow with the phone here.
And 233 uses the word reputation.
You're having an injury. It's nice to have people in the class who are busy with their cell phones finding verses for you. Let's see, 233. Okay, yeah, you're right, 233, thank you. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. And then he says, people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So, why is it worth it? There are dishonorable people that will stick to their position also and prefer death. They don't want to budge from their wrong position, and they'll die for it. But that's of course the wrong thing. That's a false ego thing. That's pride, the wrong kind of pride. There's a good pride and a bad pride, and we don't have two different words in English, so we always say the good kind of pride and the bad kind of pride. Everybody kind of knows what this means. The good kind of pride is the pride you're supposed to have. You're supposed to do the right thing and feel good within yourself that you're doing the right thing. And that's okay. That's not the bad. The bad kind of pride is the pride that goeth before a fall. They say you're all puffed up and you won't listen to reason, and you do wrong things and won't budge, and you're proud and you're self-centered and you're falling. Actually, inside you're falling whether you fell or not yet. It's because it's about yourself, and it's about your false ego, and about sticking to your mistakes and not admitting you were wrong. So that's the bad kind of pride, and we do want the good kind of pride, which is the right kind of self-respect. You respect yourself as an eternal spirit soul serving Krishna, who has a responsibility to lead and help others and be a good example. So one should have that, and one should feel good about it, because that's a sign. Feeling good about it is a sign that you're doing the right thing. You should also be observing that you are humble enough to listen to other people's feedback and guidance, because if you are not, then that's a sign you're in the wrong kind of pride. And English is kind of deficient in that way of defining the two things. We have to use the same word for a good thing and a bad thing. Anyway, reputation. It's a responsibility to keep up a reputation. And since in the movement there's been a lot of things that have harmed the reputation, we have to build it back up again. And we have to start within. We have to make ourselves follow purely and perfectly. And be, what's the word? You can't be criticized. Is a word. Above reproach. Yes, we have to be above reproach and be careful in how we appear as well. Because appearances are not just superficial. They can mislead people. They can mislead somebody to not have faith in a leader when they should, because he's actually a good person, but he's not careful about appearances. And he actually can lead in a good way, but because he's not careful about appearances, people either lose faith in him or do what it looks like he's doing wrong. They think it's okay he's doing it. Maybe he's not, but he's not careful about appearances. So reputation, and also more than appearances, of course, behavior, actual truth. One has to be very careful. It goes against you. And if you in some way lose your reputation when you've had a reputation for being good, and then you lose it, that's painful. That's really bad. So Krishna says it's worse than death. So for a pure devotee, Rajarshi, a saintly king, or a prince like Arjuna, if to lose that reputation would be really bad. So it's like same thing in this movement. We should have the reputation of being spiritual people, and we should have the reputation of being people that can be followed. We need to develop that, make it strong again. So we have to follow all Prabhupada's instructions. We have to search within ourselves. We have to become humble and listen to one another, because sometimes the next guy is telling you what you need to change, and we need to listen and not just defend ourselves. So reputation is really important. And the other points, offenseless and honest. These are also really important, because not only the cow and the bull are offenseless and honest, these qualities aren't just for cows and bulls. These qualities are for devotees too. So they say that people who... Sun's not quite in my eyes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They say...
It's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay. It was straight in my eyes, so reflecting off the floor. That those who work with cows develop some of the qualities of the cows. So they become more peaceful, they become more patient, they become calmer, like that. And it says here that qualities of offenseless and thoroughly honest. Well, offenseless, cows and bulls are the most offenseless creatures, because they don't produce anything that offends. Because even their dung and urine is useful in positive ways to human society. And they are peaceful animals, they are nice, they're They produce milk, and so on. They give more milk than they need for the calves, etc. The bull is willing to work hard and enjoys it. So they are offenseless. They don't give negative things. They give positive things. So we should be like that too, right? Devotees should be offenseless. We should not do things in society that other people are turned off about or annoyed or criticize us for shortcuts that devotees have taken in the past, little cheating shortcuts in dealing with the material world because we're transcendental and it's okay. Things like that have happened in the past. We have to become above reproach and not do like that anymore. Okay, time for those things that is past. They may have helped for a while, but they also hurt. And also that comes into thoroughly honest. So the cow is honest because the cow is simple-hearted and can't be complicated. Even a dog can be tricky. You know, dogs can be a little sneaky and tricky. And a horse can be too. They can act like they're going to do one thing and do. I had a horse, I had a couple horses when I was a kid. And one had this idea that she would walk along like she was going, nice, nothing's happening. Meanwhile, she's hatching a plan in her head, and she would go and run the other way and throw you off and run home. And she had a little trick that way. It must have been foreplanned and pre-planned because it was so fast. So horses can be tricky, dogs can be tricky, cows. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows cows. They can, but I think that cows are pretty simple persons, simple-hearted persons. And maybe Janet was here. She could tell some stories too. But anyways, the cow and the bull in this situation, thoroughly honest. And so why should the honest and offenseless be punished? In our world, honest and offenseless can equate naivety, foolishness, vulnerability for somebody to pick on, somebody to push around. And it might indicate somebody who doesn't know what's going on, somebody who's sort of naive and got taken advantage of or something. So we have to become tricky. Well, you have to become tricky enough to know the other person's tricks. And really in a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya's duty, there's diplomacy. So he may have a plan and he may approach in certain ways to achieve his plan. But the depth of the honesty goes deeper. And Parikshit Maharaj's his direct, forthright, standing up to the personality of Kali. What are you doing? This does not happen in my kingdom. I have a reputation. It's pretty open and honest there. I have a reputation. I have to keep it. We're saintly kings. It's a tradition. We have to be pure. I have to stop this behavior. Why are you doing this? We protect the honest and the offenseless. They're not there to be victims. In our time, a lot of times, honest and offenseless ends up being a victim. So Parikshit Maharaj is not allowing that. So that's honest and offenseless. But for human beings being honest and offenseless, we also have to be as smart as a Kshatriya. We're supposed to be Brahmanas, so we should be smarter than a Kshatriya, right? I mean, this is, in a way, we are the Brahmanas of society. In another way, only a few of us are really Brahmanas. But in that, we all have this spiritual knowledge and we can tell people about it and we know the right way to behave. In a way, we are all the Brahmanas of society. So we have to become above reproach and courageous Brahmanas telling the truth, and we have to be as smart as the Kshatriyas in observing what people's tricks are, so that we don't fall into tricks. We don't fall into our own tricks. We might do it. We might have some subconscious desire to do something. We have to be smart about that too. So it doesn't mean victims, doesn't mean naive. We have to be smart, but honest and offenseless, not causing any harm to anybody else, to any other living entity that's offenseless, as well as not chanting with offenses, wrong philosophy and thinking like that, but also no harm to anybody else, and honest. So we have to develop those qualities and protect our reputation. So that's what I found in this purport, in this verse. So it's not a very long class, but open up for discussion. Yes, Vishnu.
Why is it that Joan Jett didn't care?
I couldn't
Why
hear
is
you.
it that Joan Jett didn't give a damn about a bad reputation?
Who?
Joan Jett's a singer.
The same reason everybody else does it. Nobody knows the value these days.
Massive.
And it gets promoted. Bad reputation is very exciting for a performer's business, I guess. Yeah?
I think she was on NPR in the last
Oh.
48 hours.
You would know.
It actually helped her career.
Yeah.
Because she's trying to sell not to decent people. She's trying to sell to the dark side.
People like a little entertainment, and goodness isn't so exciting as badness. Like a little drama, so it feeds the whole thing.
Like good girls like bad boys.
Yeah, we have to fight against that. We have to present philosophy in an interesting way. But we got all these wonderful Krishna stories, so we have all kinds of entertainment to offer, anyways, and we can still present purity. So anybody else? Yeah.
You can see in current events that intoxication can cause disasters.
Intoxication causes disaster. Anytime you don't follow the regs, it causes disasters. The dynamic news that's going on now is somebody doesn't even realize the importance of reputation. Reputation is all in question, all in pieces. Everybody's arguing, everybody's criticizing. Even if he's innocent, how can he be? There are people who are falsely accused and they resign because they know it's not going to help to fight it. He doesn't see that. So I don't know why he's fighting so hard. It's making it worse and worse. So reputation, honesty. Yeah.
I typed in reputation and the verse came up about Arjuna possibly losing his reputation. It was only one verse that uses the reference of reputation in the Bhagavad Gita, but 139 times it was used in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
There is, it's really important. There is that one story of Arjuna, the Brahmana challenged the king, which was Yudhisthira, because his sons were dead when they were born and they died. And it's not supposed to happen under a good king. So he challenged the king, and the king's reputation, Yudhisthira's reputation, was on the line, and Arjuna wanted to protect him. So Arjuna put his own reputation on the line. He said, I won't allow this to happen. It happened. And so then Arjuna had vowed to kill him. He was going to step into the fire and kill himself. And Krishna said, wait, we're not done yet. So then they went to Mahavishnu and got the sons back. But the reputation was that important. It's another example of reputation. In the ancient stories that we have in our scriptures, the drama is not about what is your duty. The drama is, this is my duty, and it conflicts with something, but I have to do my duty. That's the drama. Nowadays, the dramas of popular fiction and people's biographies and everything is how to find my duty. Because people are so lost, they're trying to find themselves. So times have changed quite a bit. We don't know our duty. We want to know, and it's not even duty. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it goes that high. Sometimes it's how to find what I want to do, or something. How to figure out my duty, maybe. But that's the drama that people respond to. And in the ancient stories, it's I have my duty, but it conflicts, and I have to do it anyways. So sometimes duties conflict, and sometimes you have to suffer for your duty, but you got to do it. Yeah.
We listened to the Ramayana on the Audible, and gets really sad when the people come to Ram and say that the citizens are upset about Sita.
Yeah.
And she has to go, and she has to leave and go to the ashram in the forest. And that's kind of a sad situation, that the way it looks, she was chaste, but the way it looked was that the people were losing faith.
There was actually
And it was
a real question. There was.
the second Sita.
It says she's completely pure and blameless, but that was the real Sita that the fire god brought back. Sita had. I saw somewhere where Sita actually, when she sensed that Ravana was around, she took shelter of the fire, which means of the fire god. That's why he guarded her. And what's left was Maya Sita. And Maya Sita must be the one who did all these, bad things. Disobeyed Ram, pleaded for the deer, disobeyed Ram, offended Lakshman, stepped over the line and got kidnapped. This was Maya Sita too. Because the real Sita didn't do like that. So there was something to question there. I mean, who knows this Maya Sita, real Sita, everything. Sita apparently did this. And there was something she did wrong. And so this all happened. But internally, of course, we understand that it's a matter of union and separation, the drama of increasing the love, union and separation. And it happens more visibly in Krishna Leela. I mean, it's more clearly what it's about. It's union and separation. In Ram Leela, it's sort of disguised as politics or something more. So it's pretty obvious. And when Krishna leaves Vrindavan and the gopis are crying for him, it's more obviously about union and separation. And in Ram Leela, it seems to be politics, and he feels sorry for Sita. And why is he so mean to the woman? Like that. And it's not so obvious that it's about that separation attachment, that increases the love. Did I say that right? I'm trying to say it. Okay. Anything else? Somebody else?
Just a question. How is the person who has a good reputation in that society fight to give up everything in order to show that around what is the really conscious of Krishna in their life, like how to balance everything for them, when
I'm trying to understand.
how somebody who has a good reputation, like a person who has their own business and everything, they need to give up everything so they can follow Krishna and have also a good reputation for those people who they say, why he abandoned everything and he got a good reputation already, and they don't understand that.
Well, for one thing, you don't have to abandon, unless your business is particularly sinful, you don't usually have to abandon it to become a devotee. Prabhupada doesn't require that. But suppose, in the early days, actually, Prabhupada's presence, he called devotees out of their life. They were young, anyway, but he called devotees, they came out of their lives, they left everything else, and they came and followed him. And a tremendous work had to be done, and they helped him. And nowadays, we don't so much recommend that people just abandon everything and join. Sometimes somebody wants to, but we don't necessarily recommend it unless they want to. And what happened after Prabhupada left, these people had left everything to serve Prabhupada, and Prabhupada left. There was a lot of people lost and confused, trying to figure out, over the years, okay, should I have stayed in school? Should I have, worked? Should I have, pursued my economic development? Because now I'm suffering. There's this confusion goes on nowadays. So if you renounce things before it's really time for you to do that, depending on the individual and the spiritual position of that individual, then it comes back on you sometimes. And maybe your behavior gets shaky or you're suffering excessively or something like that, best, for most cases, be steady and stable. We have the example of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who kept his job. He had a job as a magistrate, and he did it faithfully, and he also did his devotional service. And when the time came, he retired and renounced everything. But he raised his family and everything. He did all these things. So, as part of what we have to learn as devotees, and because we grew up in a society that knows nothing of Krishna consciousness, and then we learned something about Krishna consciousness, so we just want to just throw away that whole package because we don't like that it wasn't Krishna. And then here we are, but then we don't have the material foundation to keep us stable. So we have to learn to find a way to balance it according to our own needs. Otherwise, you might harm your reputation by making some big mistakes, and, because in your instability, you don't know what you might do that you wouldn't have done. So that's where we recommend stability and gradual. Like we said, the expression, it's an English expression, the slow boat to China, but it's an obvious understanding, slow boat to China. You feel like you're not going anywhere. So that's the spiritual life sometimes feels like that. The progress we make over the years, I remember when people were saying, been chanting for 20 years, I'm not pure yet, some people, I'm not, but then we chant for 30 years, and then we said, well, maybe I'm making a little progress, It's a slow thing. A lot of impurity we have to overcome and get rid of by our chanting. So the more stable we are, the more it protects our reputation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I think it's a good point that she raised, and I mean also that you responded with it. Yeah, definitely the gradual process is recommended. You don't have to, Krishna consciousness is not an all in or all out sort of thing. You can still maintain a good balance. At the same time, she makes a good point that oftentimes in the society, if someone does fully embrace Krishna consciousness, then they'll be ridiculed for it.
They'll be what?
They'll be ridiculed for doing it. They will.
From the outside.
Yeah, the materialists might, in real Vedic culture, if someone were to fully renounce everything and put on the orange robes and become a full-time temple devotee and everything, then they would be lauded. They would be raised up into society and be given so many facilities, actually. But nowadays, in the Kali Yuga, in this age, it's kind of the opposite. If someone really fully embraces this and even publicly does that, then everybody's like, what is this person doing? And it goes to show how degraded our society has become. I mean, when criminals and thieves, the worst people in society, become the president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world. People with horrible reputations, who do awful things just to secure wealth and women and fame. These people are promoted to the highest countries, or the highest levels of government. Not just in the United States, it's everywhere. It's just like Prabhupada said. He said that in Kali Yuga, it's animal society. We are actually just a society of animals. Even, he says, modern man is lower than the animals in society. So, in politics and the government, it's the biggest animals that get into the highest positions. So, an animal will think it's strange if they think another animal is acting like a human. So most people don't even know what it means to be human. And so it's our duty to educate these people. And the balance is a tricky thing. And
it depends on the individual. There can be some individual who's able to renounce everything.
Sure.
Not so many individuals can do that, but there can be some who can do that. But the onus of reputation is really on them. They really have to have a good reputation. If they renounce, they'll be fool. If they renounce everything and then fall down, then they've made a fool of themselves. Whereas in India, there's still some remnant of Vedic culture, you can renounce everything and put on the saffron robes and everything and still be a cheater and still get some fame for it. And Prabhupada spoke against that. In the West, there's not so much opportunity for that because, like you said, people think you're weird. So you better be really pure to really impress people. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's a rare person who can be like that, very rare. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
John's got something.
Yes, John.
I just kind of, everyone said, yeah, it's caught between a rock and a hard place, you know. But one thing I liked about Prabhupada, he said, just do it in my service, and it's, you know, and cooperate, and you know, everyone's working on their karma like this, and we just have faith that this will change, you know, in this age of Kali Yuga. You know, that's what we're here for, not to really fight amongst ourselves, but to realize there are differences, like everybody is saying, and you know, how can you really be totally renounced? We would like to, sure, Prabhupada, I was always taught to shoot for the stars. You know, that's basically what Prabhupada said. Yeah, you know, see how far you can go. That's what karma is all about. But you know, with all these problems with the media and everything, people are influenced. You know, like as he said, our president is a big liar, and as you can see with power, people with power, you can't deny it, are protected. If we do that, we get in trouble. But people with power, they, you know, it's, oh, look at what he's done, he's a bad boy, and you can't really speak out. You just have to deal with it, and that plays on people's minds. And you know, you have to really have a strong will to resist all of that.
Something else, hold on to it, just a, something I was thinking about, like you triggered a thought, I don't know if it was directly, but most devotees, the majority of devotees, there's a few actual bad apples who are actually criminal-minded or something, but most devotees are sincere, and they make mistakes out of sincerity. They fight with each other out of sincerity. It's so important that they fight each other because each one has this understanding, one has this understanding, each one is partial, can't see how it works together, so they fight, you know. But most of the fighting that goes on in movement is out of sincerity, not all, but most of it. And what was I going to say? It doesn't look like that sometimes to outside. It doesn't look like that to outsiders. They see fighting, they don't know why. Even to insiders, it doesn't always look like that. There might be fighting going on both sides, maybe so sincere, so serious, therefore they're fighting due to limited understanding. And we just think so-and-so's fighting and so-and-so's fighting. Even among ourselves, we don't always understand this. So, I don't have to, I know Krishna Shri had his hand up, and then Kavarya.
It's interesting, Sureshwar Prabhu said the first time he went to New Vrindavan, he was getting out of the car and there were two sannyasis fist fighting.
Sannyasis fist fighting, his introduction.
He said, wow, what have I gotten into?
All out of sincerity.
But what's interesting about our president, he told us, he said, I could kill somebody in Times Square and get away with it.
This does not make a temple president.
But
I still picture devotees
people
fighting.
will tell you,
yeah,
I am this way.
yeah,
And he can't mean that, but he said he could do that.
yeah. Everybody just, oh, that's entertaining.
The thought is that the Jug Barrett, did I say that right? Jug Barrett effect. That we don't know what kind of karma anyone else has. And when Jug Barrett came back, he said, hey, I don't want to be a deer again, and I'm renouncing. And he did do some things that a lot of people would have looked at.
He acted backwards just to protect himself.
Right.
Kavarya?
Oh, I was going to mention that, like, you were talking about fighting and sometimes how it looks, but two things. Number one, the gopis, Krishna's gopis, there was two camps, the right and the left. They would fight. They would have different opinions. Some would be real heavy, you know, like go out of the way, like real assertive. Others would be more humble, but they didn't agree on things. So that's even in spiritual world. they have differences in personalities. They may have a bit of a clash, but that doesn't mean one side is wrong, one side is right. That's just how it is. And also, Prabhupada said, in a marriage, the fights between husband and wife, we shouldn't take so seriously. It's going to happen. But then after a while, you kind of laugh about it. You know, it can be, yeah, when it's happening, you think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. You know, it's terrible, I can't handle this person. But then when you step back a little bit, you just see, oh, that's just, nobody was right, nobody's wrong. That's just how they think, that's how I think. You move on, you just realize you have differences, but the quarrels, he said, to don't take so seriously. So I just was going to make that.
That could apply to some degree among
Yeah.
devotees too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think this whole thing, you know, each devotee that has the struggles, you know, that say the power conflict, they have their very good qualities, but somehow or other, and each thing that they say, they could be right, but each, you know, in the positions that each person is in, they see it differently. So
it seems to be so important it's this way. If you can't see each other's point of view, and it's a really important thing, whatever the topic is, it's really important, then you gotta fight, you know. So it's because of, mostly out of sincerity. You know, there's some devotees who are different, but mostly out of sincerity. Some devotees who might not really be, I don't know, maybe they're not even devotees, maybe they're like, you know, criminal-minded people trying to take advantage of a situation. Most devotees are not like that. I guess Prabhupada said there were some. It's up to us to try to guess who that is without making an offense. Kind of hard. Yeah.
There was a counselor that wrote a book on marriage, in relationship and marriage. He said, do you want to be right or do you want to be married?
Yeah.
And so, do we want to be in community and relationship with devotees and associate with devotees, or do we want to be right? Because I've seen devotees go at it in the temples. So, do you want to be right, or do you want to be in association?
Sometimes it's a big surrender. Not just surrender to the temple president who says you should do this or that, but sometimes you got to surrender to so many different opinions in order to cooperate. Using your intelligence, of course, not surrendering to something wrong, but it's tricky business. It's hard to find our way. Anything else? Is your hand up or just? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you very much. All the rest of Srila Prabhupada, all the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam.